It's time once again for another episode of the Buckhead Business Show. Being brought to you by the Buckhead Business Association. Broadcasting live from the Pro Business Channel studios in Atlanta. And now, here's your host for today's episode.
All right, Rich Casanova for another exciting episode of the Buckhead Business Show, being brought to you by the Buckhead Business Association. You can check them out at buckheadbusiness.org. We're in our Pro Business Channel studios with our $1 billion Buckhead view. We get $1.50, I think, every time we say Buckhead, so yeah, add those up to the tip jar. Excited to have you all join us, and we'll talk a little bit more about the BBA later during the show, but we'll first welcome our guest to the studio. We have a returning guest, Chuck Morrison, President and Chief Marketing Officer for Stay Mobile, and Chuck, you were on the Franchise Business Radio Show, right?
I was a while back, yeah.
Yeah.
Very much enjoyed it. It's good to be back in Buckhead.
Absolutely,
$1.50.
Right, nice. All right, and so we'll be chatting with you in just a moment, but we'll come back to you, but we want to also welcome Rich Hart to the studio. Rich Hart, you're everything real estate. You travel around the world, apparently. You're the guru of business dynamics coach and international. We need to have you on international business radio.
I'll be there. Just give me the invite. It's $1.50.
Man, seems to be the going rate today.
That,
nice. So we're going to be chatting with you in just a moment, but give us a little teaser what this conversation may look like in a moment here or two.
Well, everything I do is based on business dynamics, real estate and business development.
Okay.
But and of course financial services. But it's all based on focus and what we do and how we develop a really fine-tuned goal and objective to really reaching a level of success that we all want to get to or hopefully obtain one day.
Right. And apparently you have offices here in Georgia, New York, and Florida.
I get around a little bit.
You kind of split your time.
I just wanted to control the East Coast. That's
nice.
what I want to do.
Nice. Yeah. So the West Coast, you're okay for right now, whatever. Yeah, but watch
they're all
out.
Great people.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
But watch
great
out.
people.
Yeah. So a lot to cover in your segment here. So look forward to that. And folks can find you online. Just it can't be any easier. RichHart.com.
RichHart.com.
How'd you get that name?
It's,
Did you change your name to get the domain
says
name?
I was blessed with it. No, that's actually my name.
Okay, yeah.
Right on the birth certificate.
Well, we do have it's Rich Hart and Rich Casanova, man. It's just, I'm feeling the love, right?
It makes it easy for me to remember the name.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Speaking of names, let's revisit now just for with Chuck Morrison, again, President and Chief Marketing Officer for Stay Mobile, and tell us about Stay Mobile, the folks that haven't heard about you.
Yep. Thanks. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
And, we started back in 2009 in Columbia, South Carolina, in the back corner of a mattress store, in response to the need to do repair service on, at the time, iPhone 4 had come out.
Okay.
And it was glass on both sides, and we had an idea that maybe people might break them.
Right.
And so
Apple had the same idea. Yeah.
And we quickly outgrew that and moved into about a 1,500 square foot place, 3 blocks from the University of South Carolina. From there, we started to grow throughout the state, and then into Charlotte, into Charlottesville, and then as we went for a larger strategy, relocated the company here to Marietta back in about 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
And we had a bigger talent pool, better airport, and now we are coast to coast. We're open in student centers on major college campuses and have about 47, I think, locations right now, servicing consumers, but also our big verticals in K through 12 because there's so much technology in the classroom, and then also in the enterprise channel.
So Marietta has an airport? Did I miss something
That's
there?
right. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They actually do have a North Cobb over there at Kennesaw, the McCullum Field.
There's that one, yeah.
Third busiest.
And
like the steakhouse up there, have you ever been over there? It's amazing. You have this, you can sit high above the tarmac and watch the planes come and go and have an amazing dinner, 2-level. Shout out to those folks. But meanwhile, rewind just for a second because I was just skimming your bio here and talk to us about you're the, in a former life, president and CEO of Mo Risen Records and Hot But Sour Music Publishing.
Hot But Sour. Yeah. So.
That's with one T. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a independent record label and music publishing company for about a decade. Still have the music publishing company. And we put out about 23 records, I think, over that period of time. When we started it, there was no there were no iTunes. In fact, there was Napster, and I remember being interviewed by Indie Week in Raleigh, asking me what I thought about Napster. And at the time, my answer was this: I'd be more concerned if they didn't want to download our music for free.
Right. Yeah. Wow. So you're ahead of the curve.
A little bit, and so we, fortuitous and relationships and that sort of thing, we ended up with a co-publishing deal with Lionsgate Films and got about 70 songs into film and TV, like the OC and things like that. And that's been great for my artists because they still see royalties from that. As far as record sales and touring, we always seem to peak around the corner and then self-implode on the West Coast. Right, I don't know what happened on those tours.
You got to stay on the East Coast.
Happened.
Rich will tell you to stay on the East Coast. That's your mistake. Well, let's cancel the Stay Mobile. Let's talk about the music industry. No. Just messing with you. But you mentioned records. It is kind of full circle, right? That's the new hip thing. I mean, albums and the vinyl is like hot right now, big time.
Yeah, we looked at the last one that we put out. We did a limited release. I think we numbered them up to 100 on the last record that we put out. So it was going that way back then. Yep.
I was channel surfing the other day to Home Shopping Networks, whatever, and they had a whole big production on this record player, right? and it's like a time warp or what? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I have teenagers. My daughter has a record player. She won't listen to anything unless it's on vinyl.
That's crazy.
So it has gone the other way.
And it's funny how they're talking about you can take your record and then record it or download it onto all your digital devices. Kind of defeats the purpose, right?
Right.
Okay, so Mimo, so seriously, let's get back to Stay Mobile. Okay. So mobile device repair and 50 locations. Wow, I mean, you guys are just fast tracking this. What do you attribute the fast growth here?
Our people.
Good answer.
We have outstanding people. I've, a long time ago, a couple years ago, I stopped talking about what we do and I talk about who we are. We have outstanding people, and we provide kind of over and beyond service, not only to the consumers that come in our stores, whether it's a phone, tablet, laptop, you name it, but in the K through 12 channel is a giant channel for us because they have a real big need, because the person that's now managing the 5,000 devices at that school 3 years ago was handling the computer lab where they had 25 Dell computers, and their biggest headache was they got to replace a Cat5 cable.
Right.
So now they have all these devices going home. They're breaking them. What do they do? So we've just done a lot of listening, and what we've learned is, we pick up and deliver from the schools. You have
partnership, right, with the K through 12.
Yeah, 48-hour turnaround. We go in the summertime, and you'll love this. We go in the summertime and clean them up for them, run them through a diagnostic check. And I'm never the smartest person in the room, but 2 years ago, I asked this one school district, well, what do y'all do with them in the summer? And they went, Sarah, what do we do with them in the summer?
Good
Bob,
question,
what do we do? And we ended up in the music room, opened a closet, and there was an avalanche of iPads that fell out.
Wow.
So I said, we're going to clean these up for you, run them through a diagnostic check. And we might find some frayed cables, maybe some need a new case, but they love that. We're just trying to make it as a great experience for the student as possible and keep them up as much as possible.
Can you drive through and pick up those phones that people are texting while they're driving? Is that we need
that'd
to work
be nice,
on? Yeah,
right?
That'd be nice, right? Yeah. So we have a couple more questions, and I'm gonna put Rich on the spot here in a minute, and we're gonna dive into talk about your business model, Chuck, and your kind of business development and sales in just a moment. But before we do that, a couple other questions talk to us about franchising. We mentioned that you were in the franchise business, Radio. What's the status here in Georgia? Opportunities? What's the model in terms of franchising?
Well, our franchise pipeline's never been more
robust.
Robust is the right word.
Full,
that's a good way to put it. We are a hybrid. We have corporate locations. We have franchise locations. You walk into any of them, you would not know the difference. We're very selective on our franchise owners, and we have great franchise owners. They really make it go for us too. And we don't have a sandwich place where we can open and someone can come try the sandwich. So you have to really. Our thing is we immerse ourselves in the community. We're going to be members of the Chamber of Commerce. We're going to leads groups. We're attending PTA meetings. Okay. We're going to ball games, sponsoring, doing free cleanings. And so you have to kind of be that person that wants to get out and be the mayor, so to speak, of their community. And all of our franchise owners are like that, and we've just inked a new one. We're about to open in San Antonio. We're about to open in Toledo, Knoxville, and Cincinnati. And then I think we have South Florida coming on board. In fact, they're in town. We went to dinner with them last night, and South Florida is coming on board. So we're highly selective. I've said no more than I've said yes, because we don't care. If you just have a check, it's really not good enough. We really need to know that you're going to go out and be the mayor of your community.
And deliver on that, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm heading up to Knoxville for the holidays, so if I drop my phone out the car, I can you'll have a spot for me to check in.
I do, and I have a $10 gift certificate for you right here.
Nice, man. I love this.
There you go.
Some swag.
If anything happens.
Okay, Chuck, you're on the hook now. Whenever, you got to top that. Yeah, he just ramped up our $1.50 like
right.
on steroids here.
Yeah.
$11.50.
I knew somebody could do the math. Whenever,
it's the real estate guy who can do them. I'm
the numbers and the sales guy. Yeah,
it's all finance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So one more question, Chuck. We're going to turn our attention to Rich and then open up some panel discussion here. But talk to us about what a franchise model, the range it might look like. So these can be pop-ups. They can be like bricks and mortar. They can be on site. And you mentioned the schools. What are some versions of the opportunities in terms of if I wanted to get into the franchising?
It's a great question. We do have brick and mortar locations, and we have excellent real estate services. I might want to talk to Rich about what intel he may have, because we're always looking for Main and Main. That's where we want them to be. If you're at Main and Church and we're at Main and Main, we're going to win.
Okay.
But there are opportunities to do some other things, within a store,
like
so
a
to
kiosk
speak.
kind of setup.
Yeah, we want to stay away from that word because it kind of limits you. But we do have a setup where we can do everything that we do within a framework that fits within a space without it being brick and mortar.
Okay, yeah. All right, so Chuck, what's the best way for people to find out about y'all online?
Just staymobile.com, STAYMOBILE.com, or on Twitter at StayMobileUSA.
And you're on Facebook as well.
I believe we are. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, it says right here in the notes.
Okay, then,
yes,
sir.
I'm going to trust the notes.
I'm the chief marketing officer. I should know that. Trevelyan O'Keller, those guys, they handle all that stuff for us. Yeah, Dean's
they're
great.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, so hold tight here, Chuck, and keep passing out the cash there if you want. Yeah.
Okay.
But for right now, let's go back and revisit with Rich Hart. So, Rich, people just tuning in right now, so give us a recap once again. Your space, we mentioned international real estate broker, finance, wealth consultant. You've worked with companies across the globe as well as obviously here on the East Coast. You do quite a number of speaking engagements.
Right.
Expound on that. Yeah.
Say that. I'm confused, Rich.
Well, there's about 8 paragraphs here or whatever. Yeah, I'm trying to pull out the key points. So real estate. Talk to us about your background before you got into what you're doing right now. Obviously, it was in.
Sure. Background was I was a corporate hitman. My job was to take people out of red and put them back into black. And I said, as time changes, the business changes, the people change. I says, I've got to start to now iron in on something that's going to give people better or the greatest of opportunity. And so focusing on that, my life was just like that. Baby boomer who has always ran the gamut of having some kind of trouble somewhere along the lines. Right. I did manage to stay out of jail, so that was a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Right? But somewhere along the lines, always trying to get better. Kind of left corporate America maybe about 21, 22 years ago. And I says I probably would never, ever go back.
Yeah.
And I said, if I can do it for myself, I kind of look at it as that it's the simple moments we treasure that kind of create the journey for a lifetime. And I say, what are the things that I can do differently that I can perhaps change somebody's direction and open up their world just a little bit more, all right, so they can perhaps be a little more successful. And that's where focus came from.
Okay. And interesting background because you do have that corporate experience.
Yes.
And so you can relate to those folks because
Sure.
A lot of folks, they've always had their business. They can't really understand the corporate ladder, their structure, and the dynamics of that, right?
A lot of people get into the business and not understanding what really goes into it.
Right.
Some of the moving parts themselves are things they'll kind of shy away from. Those that are involved in real estate usually don't have a marketing background. Usually don't have a sales background. They were just told that you can make a lot of money.
Right.
And in getting into something to sell, they really didn't have an idea what they were getting into.
Yeah. So what does a day look like for you? I mean, traveling, but these organizations are typically within the real estate industry that you're speaking with and
right.
coaching?
It'll be individuals in the real estate industry, in the finance industry. There's several sectors we dive into. From real estate, we kind of work and help and develop people themselves in their business, their strategies. From the financial side of the world, of course, we look at, from a real estate perspective, individuals getting inside of real estate or purchasing real estate. It's going to be one of the largest investments they'll ever make in their life. I want to be able to protect that investment going down the line. So we look at not only real estate, but we look at financial services. We also say in the financial end that there is more sex education being taught around the country, more than there will be financial education. And I think there's a great need to get on that bandwagon to really find out what are the nuts and bolts. How does money really work? And whether it's an investment or whether it's just something that you're working day in, day out and looking for a savings. How are you going to make your money grow? And what are the areas of opportunity that you're going to be able to focus on? And so we take a look at that from not only a leadership standpoint, but kind of a direction of performance and relationship. And we look at the adversities and some of the things we come in contact with. And also on top of that, you take a look at the accountability, the individuals and opportunities and environments themselves, which you want to create for yourself. Yeah,
money can be very complicated, and it spills over to all aspects of our life, whatever, right? The lack of or the surplus of, right?
Exactly.
So these organizations you work with in business development, do you is it an event, or do you have ongoing training and coaching with them? Are you on board with them for a certain period of time, or how does that work?
Sure. There's usually a period of time out there where we're working with a particular association or a group or a company or corporation. Maybe they're looking at different ways to enhance their product development, reaching out to different areas of relationship marketing. Or understanding a little bit more about the business model or where they're going. Our business models are constantly in change, constantly in flux. And so what are the things we need to do in order to better ourselves or to increase the level of productivity and profitability going forward?
What does like a curriculum look like? Or do you have a certain program that you adopt within the organization, something that you've created, or a training program you're certified within? Or?
Sure, without a doubt. There are a ton of programs that were associated through the National Association of Realtors. That's from the real estate side. So whether dealing with buyers and sellers, dealing with generations, dealing with different types of senior buyers, or maybe internationals. Maybe you're looking for an investment side, or maybe it's business from the business brokerage side, commercial. There's so many different aspects out there. That's one area. When we get into the financial services, we hang out with a company called the World Financial Group.
Right.
And working with those guys gives us the opportunity to really train and develop a sense of how money really works and how money really flows through the system. What is this whole thing about compounding? What's this whole thing about the Rule 72? And we're working with the relationships of those types of people in the perspective. And then the last piece, which it's probably not in there, but we work with a company called Predictive Index and Predictive Results. This and utilizing these types of assessment tools gives us the opportunity to work with and qualify the right person for the right job. Based upon their cognitive and behavioral
kind of what Chuck was talking about. It's not just writing a check and that's a good fit.
That's right.
You have to look at their behavioral resources and making sure it's a win-win for both parties, because they, on the surface, they'd be saying, I want to dive into this real estate or financial business, but maybe it's just not.
Right.
It's not going to be a good outcome.
Maybe they lack the education. Maybe they lack the experience. Our individuals themselves, we say in the business side of the world, people love to get in business. They love the area of opportunity of entrepreneurship. But if they just don't have a working knowledge of the nuts and bolts, they're probably destined to not do as well as they could or if they gain that additional knowledge.
Now, what's your perspective on the old adage, salespeople are born?
Well, there's the behavioral and cognitive makeup of those folks, without a doubt. I believe that everybody has a particular skill that they can learn, they can adhere to. If you really want to do it, that's going to fire the fire from within.
Because some people are very adverse to selling, that it has that connotation of like I'm trying to pitch someone. But if you really believe in, I'd imagine your thought would be, if you really believe in your product, your service, it comes easier.
Well, it's not only product service, you've got to believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Are you helping an individual somewhere along the line that's going to be able to create something unique for others?
Right. And one other question, we're going to kind of open it up for both the gentlemen here to some additional conversations and questions, but in terms of sales and business development, which is obviously spent a good deal of your time, what's the biggest challenge that you see with folks where they're not able to produce and meet their quotas, or where's the disconnect?
We see it not only from real estate, we see it in financial services, we see it in the business development side. You have individuals that are top producers.
Right.
And the top producers, they start to rise to the cream of the crop because of the fact that they were making a lot of money in what they were doing.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily make them the prime target or prime individual to take over a managerial
Right,
or
exactly,
a supervisor
Right.
role. And that's where individuals get hurt.
Yeah.
They get into a particular area that they're very, very comfortable with.
Right.
If it's sales, there's a certain individual themselves
Right.
that they're great in
gonna
phone
make it
sales.
happen, yeah.
They do great phone, all right?
Right, yeah.
And there's individuals that like the face-to-face.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's the point itself that we want to promote people. We want to
Right.
raise people to a next level of a high level of expectation, but unfortunately they may not be ready for it. So it's attaining those skills naturally, and skills, resources, tools, and some of those areas of really just owning. All right, so it's kind of an ownership of what it is that you really want to do, and it's just really taking it for whatever
Right.
it's worth.
Well, I definitely have a few other questions here, but first of all, how would folks? You got one of those easy domain names as well, so how would they find you online?
Very hard. It's
Right.
richheart.com. It's richheart.com.
Yeah.
Reach us out there. We'd love to work with different types of groups, different type of dynamics, looking for different types of industries, whether it be manufacturing, distribution, supply. We came from those areas. I worked very well in those kind of franchise. You were talking about franchising,
Right.
and how franchising works. I think we're on a really push nowadays, a really big push for franchising, and really opening some doors there.
Yeah, because that would lead into a great segue. We'll talk in just a second about with Chuck Morrison, with Stay Mobile, and with their expansion that they're going into. You know, the franchise model is amazing. We do a show in here, as we mentioned, specifically for the franchise industry, and it's amazing. And so people buy into that that package, that turnkey model, which is phenomenal. But I don't know, sometimes if you don't have the sales, if you don't have that leg,
That's right.
the business development leg to that model, you can have the best looking, amazing, super rock star product and offering, but sales drives like any other business, not just franchising. Every business needs that sales. So we're going to have that conversation in just a moment. A reminder, listeners, once again, you're listening to the Buckhead Business Show on the Pro Business channel here in our Atlanta studios. This show being brought to you in part by the Buckhead Business Association. You can check them out at just buckheadbusiness.org. So, gentlemen, we've got a few more minutes for a little bit of roundtable here. So, Chuck, you're on the edge of your seat. What are some of your thoughts based on what the conversation we just had with Rich, and maybe in terms of sales or something else that we may have need to know about Stay Mobile?
He's spot on. I mean, we have a hybrid, right? So we have some franchise locations and we have corporate locations. Right. The challenge is, again, for each person in that market to be the mayor of their community. And we're not really asking them to go out and sell anything in our business, because we're really just creating awareness. So they have X amount of businesses they really need to hit every week and pass out gift certificates and that sort of thing, because when you're in the service business, it's a little bit different than making a hard sale. And if you took out the leadership team in our company, the average age is probably 27, let's say. And so those folks, we really have to coach them on the sales process, sales 101, make them comfortable. They love what they do. There's so much enthusiasm and passion, all of them. Like it's nothing to walk into our home office here on a Saturday afternoon and there's 17 techs in there breaking down advice. And just because they love it, and that's inspiring to all of us. But on the sales side of things, that's a little bit of a hurdle for some people. But fortunately, I cut my teeth selling Lanier dictation systems. So Lanier was based here in Atlanta, and we were going up against Dictaphone, which was the Kleenex of the space. Right. And their sales training was exceptional, and so I still fall back. I still lean back on the voice writing story that they made us memorize word for word, or we were kicked out of the damn school.
Back in the day,
so I still fall back on that and try to really listen to them, coach them, and make them more comfortable talking about our services, when at the end of the day they really are selling. But we're really creating awareness. Yeah.
Well, I like that premise of mayor mobile, right? Be the mayor of your market, right? I like that kind of that premise. But again, that the idea, I've had a franchise business in the past, and it is a beautiful thing because it's all packaged and turnkey, and they give you kind of the structure and the routine, like the military, right? We've had a number of we just did a Veterans Day spotlight episode, number of military people in business, and sometimes they get lost when they leave that structure, right? Or we've had Atlanta Falcons in here, and they said there's a playbook. When they show up, they don't have to think about what they're going to wear, what they're going to do, right? Yeah. So, Rich, talk to us about whether it's franchise or another model of. So they have the structure, but sometimes it's the accountability. Where you mentioned, Chuck, where they have, here's your marketing, here's your goals that you need to meet your quotas to go out and visit so many people, right?
Right. So in San Antonio, we have a military incentive program for franchise owners, and so Alan Taylor is our new franchise owner.
Shout out to Alan
down there, and he's fantastic. And so we call our ops manual the playbook.
Okay.
And every week we call a play, right?
Wow.
And so for him, though, some of the air cover that we give him is there's a school district down there where we won a bid on their Chromebooks, I believe it was. And so all of that business will funnel right into his store. And so for him, he's like, okay, this is what I signed up for as a franchise owner for this kind of air cover. I know what I have to do on the ground. I'm not ready yet to be able to go respond to bids and all that, but I'm counting on you to do that for me.
Right.
And so he's very excited about it, and just a fantastic guy. I think he's going to do multiple units down there in San Antonio, so we're excited to have him.
That's awesome.
Yep.
It's funny, you're talking about structure, and structure is probably one of the most important areas out there, whether it be franchising, corporate, entrepreneurial, what the case may be. But here's the thing, it says, we even say this in the financial world, real estate world, is that there is a number one reasons why, I'm not going to say fail, all right, because there's a number one reason why individuals don't do as well as they could, already. And throughout different types of business sectors and different types of relations and working with different types of people all across the country, the number one reason why individuals don't do as well as they do is because they don't have an executed plan. And that's it. That is a plan. It's a plan. It's just, and when somebody comes up to you, I remember people coming to me a long time ago. All right, yes. What is your business plan? And you freeze, because you just know what to say. And it's like,
I'm going to call somebody.
I don't
tomorrow.
know.
That's my
Yes,
plan. Yeah.
yes. I'm going to phone a friend, and then we're going to do that. It's going to cost me $1.50. And
exactly. Nice.
Welcome to Buckhead.
Exactly. So when you turn around and you say, okay, the individuals themselves, they just don't have an executed plan. All right. People want to know what you do. Already, and really put down a plan. It's not a plan from a business plan, but it's a plan for a marketing plan. It's a plan for a strategy plan. And it's probably also an exit plan. And these things themselves. You talked about accountability.
Yeah.
And then accountability of this plan is very crucial. Now, if you say inside that realm of what I say is focus, all right, that's the first opportunity to create unlimited success. That's my acronym for focus. Yeah. But inside, one of the platforms we talked about is accountability. Right. And it's the individuals and the opportunities and the environments themselves in which we create that opportunity, in which it opens the doors for those individuals to be successful as long as they have a direct and documented plan, something that they can follow, something that's going to be liquid, but something that's going to be able to adhere to.
Well, liquid. I like what Chuck was talking about is this playbook. I like the idea. So once a week you have a different play that you throw into the mix. But also, to follow that analogy, it gives the team an opportunity to call an audible, right? So you give them that latitude, right?
We give them some latitude. Yeah.
for legal reasons, we have to put that asterisk.
You got a couple checks you can go into there, but no.
But I mean, if there's a little bit of audible, so if they have a creative idea, whether it's in Seattle or here in Atlanta or in Charlotte, and then they let's propose that to corporate, and then that gets integrated into the system, right?
The best ideas come from our
field.
I was just in Troy, Michigan, and made a surprise visit to one of our stores there. Didn't secret shop.
Oh, like undercover boss?
Yeah, I wore my jacket. I thought about not wearing it.
Stay in the West Coast.
Man, yeah.
But I didn't know the people that were there because we just hired them. So I went in and talked to them, and they had 4 or 5 really good ideas. And I'm like, run them up the flagpole, send them directly to me. I love them. So we'll try them. I mean, and these are kids talking to kids. So we need those ideas, and we welcome that creativity. Yeah.
Well, we do a division called Pro Business On Site. We'd love to take this on the road with you, and we'll do an undercover CMO.
Let's do it.
Right. I'd love to have that on video right now.
So would I.
There you go.
All right, so just literally a couple of minutes left. Let's ask. I'd like to ask each of y'all, what's a good day look like for you, but also kind of what's next, what's on the horizon. We won't. Let's just stay with that. I have a couple more questions, but we're out of time. So, what's a good day look like for you, and what's next on the horizon?
Good day for me is being on the ground.
That's good.
I'm in the air most of the time, but a good day is if you're going to change one person's perspective, all right, to give them an upper hand, a next advanced point, a development point, it makes my day. It really burns me up, and it just gives me the fire, and that I'm able to change somebody's perspective in just a very small way.
So you like staying mobile, but also staying grounded too.
Good. You have to. With the constant changes that we're seeing day in, day out.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
And Chuck?
Good day for us is, our people continuing to develop and us continuing to grow our markets, where we are now, executing what we have now and making sure that we are covering all the bases in those markets and then strategically thinking about where we're going next and how we're going to get there. I mean, for instance, one of our biggest initiatives has been to open in student centers on major university campuses across the country.
Huge.
Good.
So we're at the University of Utah, we're at Oregon State, we're going to Arizona, we're at Utah Valley U, Clemson, UNCG, Elon, and all of those locations are doing exceptionally well. So a good day, a great day for us is when we continue to grow that business and grow the number of tickets because we see that there's validation in being on those major campuses.
Oh, that'd be huge. Yeah.
Huge. Yeah.
And Chuck just went up to us from a good day to a great day. That's all. I love that. Yeah. All right, gentlemen. We'll see you next time. Rich Casanova for another episode of the Buckhead Business Show.
Thank you for joining us and our guests on the Pro Business Channel.